Hello and welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're going to tackle a topic that makes a lot of independent professionals break out in a cold sweat. Yep, we're talking about demystifying the GST portal for freelancers. Everything you've learned about registration, invoicing, and tax codes, well, it all comes together right here when you actually sit down to file your returns. Now, I know it might seem super intimidating at first glance, but I promise you, by the end of our time together today, you are going to feel completely empowered to handle the whole thing yourself. Let's get into it.
So, are you overcomplicating your GST filing? Honestly, it's completely normal to feel anxious about bureaucratic jargon, or fear making a costly mistake, or even just accidentally clicking the wrong button on a government website. But here's the secret. For a freelancer, the process is incredibly repetitive and straightforward once you know exactly where to click. Consider this explainer your safe, step-by-step guide. We are going to translate all that dense government terminology into plain, actionable English.
To keep us perfectly on track, here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. GSTR1 versus GSTR3B. 2. The QRMP quarterly advantage. 3. Filing your GSTR1. 4. Paying your GST and filing GSTR3B. And finally, number 5, an actionable GST filing checklist.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1, GSTR1 versus GSTR3B explained.
These two acronyms are probably the most confusing things on the portal, but they actually serve completely different purposes. Let's start with GSTR1. The portal calls this a statement of outward supplies, but in plain language, it's simply a detailed list of all the invoices you've raised during the month or quarter. You're basically telling the government, hey, here's exactly who I billed, how much I charge them, and how much GST I collected. Think of it as your business's report card. And here's an absolutely vital piece of information. There is no minimum threshold to file this. Every registered taxpayer must file GSTR1. Even if you literally had 0 invoices that month, you still jump in and file what's called a nil return.
Now notice how GSTR3B flips the script. While GSTR1 with your detailed invoice list, GSTR3B is just a summary return. But more importantly, this is the form where you actually transfer the collected GST over to the government. So if GSTR1 is your report card, GSTR3B is your payment slip. This form trips so many people up because they just naturally assume that listing their invoices means they've paid their taxes. Not true at all. GSTR3B is where the actual math and the actual money transfer happen.
Because of this strict distinction, sequence is literally everything. Notice the deadlines here. You must file GSTR1 first, by the 13th of the month after your quarter ends. Why? Because the system is actually smart enough to auto-pull your invoice data from your GSTR1 directly into your GSTR3B. Once that data is pulled over, you just review the summary, make your cash payment, and file the GSTR3B by the 22nd or 24th, depending on what state you're in. Moving right along to Section 2, the QRMP quarterly advantage. And trust me, you're going to like this one. If you've been dreading the idea of doing all this paperwork every single month, this is going to be a massive relief. 5 crore rupees per year. Highlight this number in your mind. If your yearly turnover is under this 5 crore limit, which, let's be real, applies to the vast majority of freelance professionals, you automatically qualify for the QRMP scheme. QRMP stands for Quarterly Return Monthly Payment. By opting into this, you drastically cut down your compliance time. It shifts your heavy return filing from a grueling monthly chore to a much more manageable quarterly schedule. Instead of doing 12 full return filings a year, you only do 4. So let's walk through exactly how this QRMP timeline works visually. During month 1 and month 2 of the quarter, you do no actual return filing. You simply pay an estimated GST amount via a quick PMT-06 challan. It literally takes 5 minutes. Then, in month 3, you file your full GSTR1 and GSTR3B for a complete reconciliation. And here is the absolute best part. If your income is irregular and you hit a month with 0 income, well, your estimated payment for that month is just 0. It removes an immense amount of stress for freelancers who have fluctuating client work.
Okay, on to Section 3, actually filing your GSTR1.
We've got the theory down, so let's translate these concepts into actual portal clicks. Navigating the portal is just a series of simple steps. First, you log in with your GSTIN and password, which drops you right onto your main dashboard. From the top menu, you click Returns, and then select Returns Dashboard. Next, you simply use the drop-down menus to select your financial year and the specific quarter you're filing for, and hit Search. This will bring up your filing tiles. To begin entering your invoices, just click Prepare Online, right there under the GSTR1 tile. Once you're inside GSTR1, you'll see a whole bunch of different sections, which can look super overwhelming at first. But as a pure service freelancer, you're basically going to ignore most of them and focus purely on your B2B and B2C tiles. You'll use the B2B invoices section whenever you are billing GST-registered companies. If you're billing individuals or unregistered clients, you'll use the B2C large or B2C others areas, depending on the actual invoice value. It's really just a matter of sorting your clients into registered companies versus unregistered individuals.
Now, there's a really crucial rule of thumb when entering a B2B invoice. You absolutely must double-check the 15-digit GSTIN of your client before submitting. If you type in a wrong GSTIN, your client's accounts team will not be able to claim their input tax credit, or ITC. And trust me, they will come knocking on your door asking you to fix it. A careless mistake here actually damages your professional relationships, so always copy, paste, and double-check those numbers.
The actual data entry is super intuitive. You enter that 15-digit client GSTIN first, then you pop in your invoice number, the date, and the taxable value, which is just your fee before the GST is added. The portal is smart. It'll auto-calculate the tax amounts for you. If you and your client are in the exact same state, it splits the tax into CGST and SGST. If it's an interstate transaction, it groups it all as IGST. Once your invoices are in, you hit save, verify your identity using an EVC, which is just an OTP sent to your phone and email, and boom, you're filed.
Moving to Section 4, Paying GST and GSTR 3B.
With GSTR1 finished, the government officially has the list of everyone you billed. Now for the most important step, actually paying up. When you click Prepare Online for GSTR 3B, you're going to immediately notice something incredibly helpful. Section 3.1, which details your outward supplies, will be fully auto-populated from the GSTR1 you just filed. All you have to do is verify the numbers match. Then you'll scroll down to Section 4, which is for Input Tax Credit, or ITC. This is the GST you might have paid on business expenses like software or co-working spaces. But please, do not panic about ITC. For most early-stage freelancers, this number is 0 or very minimal. If you aren't sure, just enter 0 for now. Keep it simple. You can always amend it later. Don't let ITC confusion stop you from filing on time.
As you scroll down to Section 6, the Payment of Tax table reveals exactly how much you owe in cold, hard cash. The system takes your total tax payable, which it pulled straight from your GSTR1, and subtracts any input tax credit you entered up in Section 4. The resulting number down in the bottom row, tax to be paid in cash, is the exact amount you need to transfer to the government across those IGST, CGST, and SGST columns. No complex math required on your end.
Paying that exact amount is seamlessly integrated. You just click Make Payment, which generates what's called a PMT06 challan. You can literally select UPI if the amount is under 10,000 rupees, or use standard net banking for larger amounts. You complete the payment on your bank's interface just like any regular online shopping checkout. But here is the vital step. Once the payment clears, the portal will generate a CIN, a challan identification number. You must save this. It is your ultimate proof of payment.
Quick pause for a crucial warning here. Always pay your GST before filing GSTR 3B, not after. This is where so many first-timers get completely stuck. The GST system is designed so that it literally needs to see the money sitting in your portal's cash ledger before the File button will even work. You generate the challan, you pay the cash, the ledger updates, and only then do you finalize and file the GSTR 3B form with your OTP.
All right, bringing it all home with Section 5, your GST filing checklist. We have covered a whole lot of ground today. When the end of the quarter rolls around, just pull up this golden checklist. First, verify all your client GSTINs. Second, file your GSTR1 to list your invoices. Third, open GSTR 3B and verify that the data auto-populated correctly. Fourth, create your PMT06 challan and pay the cash. Fifth, save your challan identification number. And finally, file that GSTR 3B with an OTP and save your final ARN, which is your filing receipt. If you stick to this checklist, you will absolutely never go wrong.
You know, we started this explainer talking about the anxiety surrounding the GST portal, but look at what you've just learned. You now completely understand the difference between reporting and paying. You know exactly how to slash your compliance time using the QRMP scheme, and you have a clear step-by-step checklist to safely navigate the actual portal. You've got the tools, and you've got the knowledge. Now it's time to take control of your freelance business like the true professional you are. So, with the GST portal finally demystified, what is stopping you from mastering your business compliance today?
And honestly, with GST out of the way, what other financial optimizations are just hiding in plain sight for your business? Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer, and happy filing.